Brandt, the old saying goes that two makes a tradition, so we are starting a tradition. Last year, we had our first episode of Listening to Gratitude. We are going to do that again this season.
We had a number of folks that sent us audio clips. We need your help this year. What are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? Send us an audio clip. Make sure to include your name, where you're from, and you can send that audio clip to either Drew or I on social media, or you can send it to imlistening@duck.com.
imlistening@duck.com.
Yep.
Let's keep it to about 30 seconds if you can. This episode is about you. We just produce it. We want to hear from those folks all over the world that are listening. We appreciate you. We are grateful for you, and we want to hear from you. Don't be shy. This was by far our most popular episode that we have produced, and we want to continue to keep that going. Why is that? It's because of you.
The end.
Don't be shy.
So, Drew, if you had the choice between having back-to-back in-person meetings or back-to-back virtual meetings, what would you choose?
In person always.
Why?
You're starting me off with a great, big question. Why? Because humans in our nature are social animals.
Yep.
So there's a little science to back that up. Isolation, which is a global issue right now. Isolation is not good for you. It is actually now becoming equated to the effects of smoking. And I've actually done some research on this, and I believe that the virtual meeting actually promotes isolation. And to be social animals that we are, and to fulfill that need to interact with other human beings, the in-person meeting is always a better solution than the virtual meeting.
So you're pro in-person meeting if you had to have back-to-back meetings?
1,000,000%. How about you,
Okay.
Brent?
I do prefer meeting people in person. However, I don't have the luxury of being where they are at that time when I'm in meetings. So sometimes I've got back-to-back meetings and they are with people from all different time zones, all across the country or sometimes across the globe. And I just don't have the time to travel there to meet with them. But virtual meetings allow me a chance to meet people all over the place back to back. Because of that, I will choose this format. And a lot of people do. 10 years ago, we were not talking about virtual meetings. Today, this is part of our everyday life. And that is why we want to jump into this today.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, 10 years ago, I vividly remember in my job where we were for lack of a better term, a satellite location, even just a half hour away from home base, for lack of another better term. And instead of driving all of the time or doing the even more dreaded conference call, I started researching, can we turn our little conference room into a virtual or video space where we can invest in getting a camera installed and getting a projector and a screen, or a very large at that time, a very large, 42-inch monitor. That was 2015. That was 10 years ago. And it was going to only cost like $2,400 to get this installed with all of this, not top of the line, but good equipment. And we never did it. It was cost prohibitive.
And now 10 years later, all that stuff is just built into your phone.
I might as well have just said, just pull out your typewriter and your AV cart, and you can send an electronic telegram. I mean, that's the conversation. That was 10 years ago.
From conversations to the natural world to complete silence, so many of us focus on what's next rather than what is happening now. I'm Listening is a podcast that dissects the importance of listening.
I'm Drew Richmond.
And I'm Brandt Christofferson.
And this is I'm Listening, a podcast simply about the skill of listening.
So today we're going to be talking about the virtual meeting, and you wanted to talk about the common solutions to tips and techniques on how to run a perfect virtual meeting.
That is really the goal of today's episode, Brandt, is I just want to read off lists that we have found online that are the tips and tricks to running effective virtual meetings. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'll take number 1 through 6, and you take number 7 through 15. You ready?
No. There are so many of those out there. There are so many videos and lists and tutorials and trainings. I can sign up for seminars on how to lead a virtual meeting. What are we trying to answer? What is the issue that we're trying to deal with? Let's go there.
I think that's a much broader and much better idea, Brandt, because you're right. There are thousands of resources out there to, quote unquote, run the most effective virtual meetings by doing these 8 things. What's the issue?
The issue, I mean, we were probably having these top 10 lists of things to do when it came to conference calls, right? When it came to learning how to dial in to a conference call and listen to things. We're looking more, I think, at looking at technology and adapting to whatever the latest technology is, and how do we use it effectively for communication. I love being able to see people and talk to them from wherever they are. I would prefer to see people in person, but man, this is a great technology to have virtual meetings. But I get it. I see it used and abused in ways that are not effective and kind of turn people off to it. So I kind of want to go into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the angle that we take here on all of this, not surprising if anybody's listened to 1 or 2 of our episodes thus far, the angle that we take on this has nothing to do with top 10 lists. It actually has nothing to do with technology. It has everything to do with having a little bit of empathy. It has everything to do with creating a sense of belonging in your virtual meeting. It has everything to do with understanding who your audience is, where they are coming from, what time of day, what part of the world, how old are they. It's going through those simple things. I think it gets lost. And I think that we rely heavily on what kind of graphic we have or what kind of platform we're using as the biggest priority in trying to lead an effective virtual meeting. And unfortunately, I believe we lose the who am I talking with? Where do I meet them in their space? And I'm not talking about the virtual space. I'm talking about their mindset. I'm talking about where they are mentally in their mind with the understanding, a little bit of grace. I bet you those things rarely fall on top 10 lists.
Let's go there. When it comes to mindset, I cannot tell you how many virtual meetings I've been on where I am on mute the whole time. I am looking at the screen. I'm not looking at the camera or the people. I'm listening, but I am not. I'm reading something else on my screen. So I am not engaged at all in what is happening. And I'm just like, okay, whenever this meeting's over, someone's going to send me notes or AI is going to generate notes and I'm going to look at those, figure out my few action steps. But I am not engaged. It is just, I feel like it's wasting my time. Do you ever have meetings like that?
Yes. And I was just part of one. Now that you brought that up, I was just part of one a couple of weeks ago where I was in a meeting that we brought in a presenter virtually, and that presenter proceeded to read us the slides.
No.
And the topic was legalese. So not only do I have...
That's hard anyway. That's just...
I don't care if that person was sitting across me in a room of 2 people. I would be hard pressed. So your point is exactly right. So yes, I have been most recently in a meeting with a group of people where we brought in somebody virtually to talk about legal jargon for probably 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Was your question to me, Drew, how long did you pay attention for? The answer to that question is about 2 minutes before I was on my phone saying, if I really want to look and really want to learn this information, I can look at the notes. Yeah. I can reference those things that you're talking about right now at a later date. If your goal is that you want me to remember these,
Yeah.
If your goal is that you want me to implement them immediately, then we need to go about a different method. But if this is just, hey, these are some things that you all need to be aware of and think about, and utilize down the road, just send that to me. It's my responsibility now to remember that stuff. That's where the expertise and the professionalism comes into play. I'll remember that you sent me that stuff because it's really important. It's just not really important right now, and this method of delivery is brutal.
So we've got all these different ways in which to share information. A video call is one of those ways. The information that you were receiving in a video call probably could have been much easier delivered just in a Word document, or send you that PowerPoint slide, you to take the responsibility to listen to it or read it and be done with it.
Yep. This is a memorandum. This is really important. File it under things I need to remember later on. And here's the list of all the stuff that you need to remember. And thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Okay. Let's say they did that. Let's rewind. Let's say that meeting started over. They sent out the PowerPoint beforehand. You read it, and now you're going into a virtual meeting. What would have been a better use of that time for that meeting?
This is going to take about 10 minutes. Thank you all for being a part of this. I know that we have varying levels of interest. We have varying levels of expertise. I understand that it's 2:00 in the afternoon, right after lunch, and we're going to keep this short. What you all have is a list of items in a file that's available to you. What we want to walk through right now are some stories and some action steps to make sure that you utilize these list of items in the right ways. Now you've met me where I am. Yeah. Now you've created this sense of belonging because you've identified that there's a lot of people in this room and we're all a little bit different. You're going to have some empathy with us because it's the time of day, because this is boring, because this isn't going to be immediately utilized. You met us where we were. You were mindful of what was going on, and you're going to keep it short and not go through this list and read this list to us for a half hour.
Yeah. I would also add on that too. I'm thinking of this if I were in that seat, sharing that material before, and then I would have asked, come prepared with questions to ask.
Yep.
And
yeah, interactive, right?
I would have used that time to, hit those action steps, those bullet points, but also say, what questions do you have? Or what stories do you have in ways you could implement this? And I would want to I would want to encourage interaction. I find this is a great medium to have interaction, to hear other people's thoughts and discussions, not to hear a monologue or someone reading off a slide.
Beautiful. See, if the listeners out there just took that right there, this is an 8-minute podcast, and they could just start there. We didn't talk about make sure that you utilize these colors. We didn't talk about make sure you utilize this platform. It's all about what is your desired outcome of what you're utilizing this technology for.
Yeah.
Why are you utilizing this method, and what do you want people to get out of it?
Yeah.
And if you start with those two things, I think that gets lost. It's like, well, we have to have a meeting about a meeting, so we might, and people aren't in the office, so we just have to have a meeting about a meeting, and we're going to do it virtually, and we're going to do it at 1:30. If people become a little bit more deliberate and you work through the prep of having your desired outcomes out there, this is why we're meeting and this is why we're utilizing this method. I personally believe that you just got 50% better than everybody else in the world.
I remember during COVID, we were all at home, and my team, some of us worked in person. Some worked all over in different areas and weren't able to come in person, so they worked remotely. When COVID hit, we were all remote. And really the only time of day or time of the week when we had human interaction was through the Zoom screen. It was meeting virtually.
Yep.
And we ended up taking that time to check in with each other. How are you doing? What have you been up to? And giving people a chance to have conversation and make meaningful connections. If we were just in the office, we may not have done that to that extent, but because there was a need there, we made sure to make that time to say, hey, you as a person matters. You as a person is sitting in your house by yourself. Let's take some time to fill your bucket a little bit and have some human interaction. It was a great use of that. We then found a way to figure out how to slog through our agenda items, and maybe we'd have some fun with it, right? We'd have different people lead the meeting each time, but it was it was nice to be able to use that to make the best of whatever situation we were in.
The last part of what you just said is the key. It was to make the best of the situation that you were in. There were a lot of things that were out of our control during that time. So this was a method to gain some of that control back, to keep productivity going, to keep that social connection. Even though it wasn't ideal, it was really, for a lot of us around the globe, it was one of the only ways to do it. So we utilized that. And I think what's some of the things that have come out of this in our pre-planning and our discussion, our storyboarding of all of this is, what are the norms? What are the standard operating procedures? I don't think they exist. I don't think they exist yet. This is 5 years old. This widespread use of this technology. If you use it 100 times a day or, whatever, okay, you probably have a little bit better idea of it. But still don't think that that's everybody. We need to get into what are the norms, what are the standards of utilizing this virtual meeting platform, this technology. God, that made me sound really old. But what, oh, you always do this I don't think that exists.
I think it does if you're in a group that has established that. So if you are in a workplace that has established norms and expectations for how you run virtual meetings, and you may have done that in writing, or it may be more casual, like, hey, when you show up to this call, you got to be on time, or you got to be on camera because that's what everyone does. You've established that. If I'm coming in as an outsider, I don't know those norms. It is very much a cultural thing where I will need to learn those cultural norms and able to be part of that in-group, to be part of that culture. And I think there is where some of the conflict lies, right? Is when you've got someone on the call that isn't following the norms and it just drives you nuts.
And that I think is where we get into, well, am I being effective? Are they listening to me? Am I being an effective communicator through this virtual meeting? You talked about the workforce and you talked about, those standards. Sure. And Brandt, 25 to 30% of all of the meetings in the United States right now are held virtually. A quarter, 1 in 4 meetings are held virtually. But also 1 in 4 employees in the United States are working remotely.
So this isn't going away. This is part of our lives.
As we know it right now, this is not going away anytime soon. Is it going to grow? You can read any article you want about whether you should be virtual or whether you should be in the office, and we preference and norms. But when we get into the norms of a virtual meeting and the effectiveness of the virtual meeting, I think that's a big component of it. Go ahead and say, of the working population in the United States, 1 in 4 have norms, have standard operating procedures. They know how to do this, or at least they do it on the regular to be able to be assumingly effective at it.
Yeah.
But what about the other 75%?
I will just shame them, make them feel bad.
That's great. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Great plan.
I mean, it is a tool.
Embarrassment is effective. No, I agree. I think embarrassment is an effective way to get them to do it the way you want them to.
Yeah. But it is a tool. It's a complex tool. It's not just like literally the
we were kidding, by the way. Oh, I was kidding.
I was kidding, yes.
Were you?
Oh, yeah.
Folks, look out for Brandt.
Look out, folks.
If Brandt is leading the virtual meeting, expect shame and embarrassment.
Just kick someone out of the meeting. Just press a button. Just they're gone.
Oh shit! Here comes old man Christofferson again in his virtual meetings.
The tribe has spoken. You've been taken out.
No, I don't think Brandt likes publicly shaming people in virtual meetings.
We don't want to do that.
All right.
But
no, we don't.
I do recognize, though, that it is a complex tool. Compared to just sitting down and talking with someone over coffee, we now have to have a computer, a high-speed internet access, which not everybody has.
Correct.
A camera, a microphone, a space to sit that's quiet where I can focus my attention. There are a lot of assumptions and a lot of pieces we need. Now we get into okay, let's say I'm using Google Meet or Zoom or Teams. each platform is going to be a little different. I need to be versed in how that platform works. So if I need to do anything or interact with it or problem solve it or troubleshoot it, I need to know how to do that. If I'm presenting, I need to know how to share my screen. If I'm running polls, if I am running a survey, if I am having breakout groups, whatever that is, I need to have a skill set there to be able to do that. So I think that's part of what we're talking about too when we're talking about norms and culture is being able to have a skill set in the arena that you're working in. And I think that's part of where the shaming comes in is that, hey, if this is part of your job, the expectation is that you know how to utilize this tool. If you're coming in and don't know how to use it, there's going to be some judgment from others. And I think that's the empathy piece I think you're talking about is we need to check ourselves when it comes to that judgment and be like, okay, does this person need support or help or empathy?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, think about if you're not well versed in that environment and now you got to join us, we need you to join us at 10 o'clock and you're like, I don't know how to do that. Mm-hmm. Or I've always utilized Zoom and now I have to utilize some other platform. You're exactly right. That can get embarrassing quickly. That's, I think, what we go back to. Like, was there specific training for that sort of thing in your work environment or at your home? If you're working 100% remote, is it assumed at this point, just 5 years into this, is it assumed that everybody knows? Can we talk generational a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
We got 18% of the population in the United States is over the age of 65, presumably out of the workforce. But that doesn't mean that they're immune or that they don't utilize virtual meetings. We're talking 60 million people that are volunteering for organizations. They are communicating with their families. Now you talk about a whole generational difference of if you're 22 years old and you've been doing this for the last, call it 6 to 8 years of your life, it's common for you. If you're 66 or 76 years old, you're way out of the loop.
Yeah, it's just kind of recognizing what skill sets people have as they're coming into it and supporting them with what they need to be able to get there.
One of my things that I like to do for work and other is talk about perspective.
Okay.
I always like to look back a little bit and go, all right, what does this look like? We've already hit kind of two of them as we work our way backwards. We talked about, well, the prominence of the virtual meeting, the Zoom call, whatever it is 5 years old, 6 years old tops. We'll call it 5 years old. I was sitting in a room trying to figure out how to buy a camera, a projector screen, and a huge 42-inch monitor just 10 years ago.
That's funny.
Can we go down history lane with electronic communication? Here we go. The answer is yes. Here we go. We're talking 1850s to 1870s is the telegram.
Okay.
What's the telegram?
Telegram is sending little boops and beeps over a wire to communicate a message. So it's not telephone. It is Morse code. Sending Morse code over a wire.
Yeah, over a wire, right? And then those little beeps and boops and what have you turns into letters. And all of a sudden, the person on the other line types out this thing. And now you have a letter that just traveled across the United States of America, and it happened within days, not weeks.
And the new guy on the other line receiving the telegram was being shamed for not knowing Morse code. Yeah.
Exactly. So now we get into the 1870s, 1880s. We invent the telephone. We've moved from telegraph to telephone. Telephone is now very typical in all homes in the United States in the 1920s, early 1930s. Now what we can do is we can pick up the phone and we can communicate with people through a wire.
Which is amazing to be able to talk to someone.
Think about that. So now we go from like the 1850s, 1860s. Now we're in the 50 years later. We can pick up a phone. We can talk to somebody. Brandt, do you remember dialing 0 for the operator?
Yes. As a kid, I remember dialing 0 as an operator to say, I don't have this phone number. Can you help connect me to this company, this person in this town?
I'm going to say that again. In our lifetime, we're in our late 40s, mid to late 40s. Sorry to call you old. In our lifetime, we have picked up a landline, dialed 0 for operator to connect us to a company or another person that we couldn't find the phone number for in the phone book, and they patched us through.
We don't even have that kind of customer service today. I cannot pick up any device, press one button, and have a live person talking to me.
Operator, how can I help you?
They were right there,
Okay.
and they just helped connect us.
Brandt, this is the 1980s. This is early 1990s.
Yeah.
We are not that fucking old. Okay. So now for 50 more years, from 1920 to 1990, what is that? 70 years, call it 1980. We're picking up a landline and we're dialing 0 to get connected to a human to connect us to more humans. That was not that long ago.
No.
So think about the generational gap. And now we're in the 90s. Now we introduce the cellular telephone, and now we introduce, remember the teachers that would roll in with the AV carts with the TV and the VCR,
and the
like
VCR.
seat belted to the
strapped to
seat
it so it didn't fall over.
So it didn't fall over. Oh, and by the way, fall over and kill somebody.
Literally.
Because everything weighed 300 pounds, right? Now we got the AV carts. This is technology. You and I remember sitting in our elementary and middle school classrooms watching TV and watching a video.
Not only watching a video, usually as a student, I was the one having to help the teacher use the technology because I knew how to use it and they did not.
Great point. And the technology was on off.
Yes. It was
like
play,
electricity.
stop, rewind. Eject.
The remote was
Where's
attached
the eject
to the TV.
button?
So then, now we're in the 90s, cell phones. And then we get into smartphones. And now, in a little bit different sense, now we're expecting everyone to be able to utilize the virtual meeting in an effective manner. You're talking about polls and breakout rooms. We have generations of people. We have 20% of our U.S. population that, well, hell, more than that, because I remember that was dialing 0 to get an operator.
I think we're of that generation that kind of is the last of that remembers living in an only analog time.
Yeah.
Anyone younger than us will be considered more that digital native, that it seems a little more native, intuitive to them. But yeah, it is smart, though, I think, to recognize like people our age and older remember a time, and I don't know, a lot of our behavior was shaped in the time of analog when this digital stuff did not exist. And it is a big shift from one to the other. And yes, it has been how many ever years, but still it is a bit of a shift.
I think that's where we come through this episode and talking about the virtual meeting. You can go look, as we started, you can go find 4,000 different opinions on the top 10 ways to run an effective virtual meeting. I think if you want people to listen to you and have an effective virtual meeting in this sense, go one step beyond those top 10 lists, get into empathy, get into some level of belonging with your group, get into understanding where they are and understanding that if they're over the age of 45, 50, they were dialing 0 for an operator, and now you want them to take an online virtual live poll.
Yeah.
That, oh, by the way, has been around in an effective widespread use for 5 years.
But we've always used it for 5 years.
For 5 years.
Yes, there are challenges there. But it is, again, we're looking at, it's not so much the solutions, but it's how are we adapting to the latest technology, right? And how are we using it effectively? And I'm doing one of those things right now too, where, so you and I meet virtually, we're meeting on Google Meet when we record. Yep. One of the things that I can do on this platform that I cannot do on the phone is talk with my hands. Mm-hmm. In a virtual meeting, I can, right now, I'm waving my hands for emphasis. I can talk with my hands on a virtual call. I can, any kind of nonverbal cues that were not there for audio are there now on video. I can make a much bigger impact with my nonverbal cues, and I'm going to use that to my advantage in this medium, where I can be effective in communicating, not just through my audio, but with using visual cues. I think it's one of the best things about this is that I can also then read where other people are non-verbally, as well as hearing what they have to say.
That video cue is really important. The other piece to that I think of is, speaking of the older generation, and not necessarily the quote unquote virtual meeting, but the evolution of FaceTime and having that face to face, even though it's 2D, you have that face to face interaction versus just the phone call. And we've talked about this a couple times throughout our episodes as well, but the effectiveness of being able to see somebody's face, to see their reactions, to be able to see their smiles, and to be able to experience their sadness, but to be able to visualize that, not just have that over the telephone, is as close as we can get to doing that in person. So you can feel that, you can see it, you can be a part of that visual experience with them as well. It's not as good as in person. But as you've also described, if you can't see grandma or grandpa every day because they live 4 hours away, 4 days away, whatever it is, then this is the next best thing. And technology continues to help us with that.
It's much more effective than the telegrams that are sent to me as well, because I just can't read them.
I did send you a telegram last week. Have you received it yet?
No. Probably it's in my spam box.
To be honest, when I thought about this topic, I just wanted people to think about being more productive and give them tips and tricks on being more productive, on how to have higher quality virtual meetings, how to get people to listen to you better via the virtual meeting. What we're leaning towards is, there's ways to do it to be more effective in kind of top 10 lists in that sense, technology based and quality and all of those other things, to be engaged, to have a higher level of engagement. What we're getting to are some of the softer points of this empathy, of the belonging, of the understanding of your group, those types of things that will also take you a very long way to have effective virtual meetings that people will listen to you.
Again, virtual meetings are a little more when we're, going up that chain in how we're virtually communicating or telecommuting or talking to each other. When I'm on a conference call, it doesn't matter what I might look like or what my house looks like or what's going on in my background. When I'm on a virtual call, all of a sudden, it's not just what I'm saying matters, it's also how I'm looking. What's going on behind me. What are the actions that I'm doing or things going on in my house that I need to be paying attention to that I wasn't paying attention to before?
Yep.
I think of just the things that I've seen on calls before where if we were in person, you would not be doing that right now. But now that we're virtual, you think that's okay?
A great point. The visual component of it all, not only just the visual component, but how you are presenting yourself.
Yeah. It's like, yes, you're on mute, but you still cannot be clipping your nails. Like that's not okay.
Right. And what the famous background piece of all of this with all the filters and all the different things, is it important? It is important. And if you have a dumpster fire behind you of a space,
that's my house.
Blur that shit out. It's okay. You can do that. I would call that a norm. That's starting to happen. Not everybody does it, but that's okay to do that. If you have a nice home and a nice space, or you have some bookshelves or some accolades that are hanging behind you, whatever it is, great, go for it. But if you have crates of shit, or you're in your meeting in your laundry room, there was some grace with that for sure during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. The kids are crying, the dogs are barking, all that other stuff. 100% there was grace and understanding with that. No more. That doesn't exist anymore. Oh, please excuse the baby crying. All these other the kids are vacuuming in the background. Please excuse that. No,
your baby's vacuuming.
Yes, that would be awesome. No, you can't do that anymore. That's gone. So a good point with that. Is that baseline?
I think we're still in that very exploratory phase because we talk about etiquette, blah, blah, blah. And that I like figuring out where that is for folks, depending on the group that I'm working with, being conscious or aware of it or being prepared for it. Or if I'm the one presenting, letting people know up front, hey, this is good and this isn't good. I used to present on using technology, being creative or innovative with technology, and how we connect with other people, and primarily in facilitating team and leadership development work. One of the examples that I would use was when technology was first invented, the X-ray. It was a really amazing technology. And we were like, gosh, how do we use this? What's a fun way to use this? How, we can see bones. Okay, cool. They introduced X-rays in shoe stores. So when you went to go get shoes fitted, they would X-ray your feet. You laugh because...
Why am I laughing?
Because they're being exposed to all this unnecessary radiation to fit a shoe.
I think the key is unnecessary. The second term is radiation. But it seems comical now. But at the time, it's like, oh my gosh, look at this technology. Look what we can do. Look at how cool this is going to be revolutionary. We X-ray your feet to get you into the right shoe.
Yeah, and I'm not promoting that we all go and like expose everyone to radiation for fun to see what it does. But I am saying that there is a window for us to be creative and be an experiment and push the boundaries to see what is going to work and what doesn't. And that is where we're at right now with virtual meetings, is what's acceptable, what's not, what can I do with this? How far can I go? What's acceptable and what's not? I've been in meetings where it is okay to eat a snack on a call. I've been in other meetings where if you're going to eat, the polite thing to do is say, hey, I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to be on mute. I'm still going to be listening, but I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm going to eat. Other places, that is not acceptable at all. So it is really just kind of dialing in what works for the group you're working with and establishing those norms within that group, because it is a very nuanced thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And understanding that piece of it. I've also been in Zoom meetings where I'm staring up somebody's nose and looking at their ceiling fan the whole time. We've all been there. Is that, again, this is 5 years old. Is that acceptable to say, hey, I can see up, can you adjust your camera a little bit? I'm looking up your nose and your ceiling fan is great. Those types of things, even though they're oblivious to it all. So I think that that's the mute button, right? So the please mute yourself and unmute when you're going to speak. Those types of things. It seems very elementary to a lot of folks right now. It's still a challenge. It is still a very common challenge. And I think there are significant generational gaps in that as well.
It's also just kind of knowing your audience, knowing where people are at and what they're coming in with. If it's an already established group, that's one thing. But if it's a group of people I don't know, I might be coming into a completely different. Maybe someone's not used to being on camera and is very shy about being on camera, so they want to have their camera off. Is that acceptable or not acceptable? Yeah. You had an example before where someone was on a work site and was really dirty and it was not necessary to be on camera. So they kept off camera, just more as a politeness thing.
Exactly. And I said, hey, everyone, if we can be on camera, that would be greatly appreciated. And the individual very quickly realized that they were the only one not on camera. They hopped on and said, I'm actually not very presentable right now. I just got off, the site. I just got off the floor. So I'm just going to go ahead and stay off camera, but I am here and I am present. Cool. Done. Good. We don't have to acknowledged, professional, understood, moving on.
Yeah.
We talked about the advancement of technology. We talked about that in our relatively, we're halfway there, right? In our relatively halfway point of our lifetime.
Are you living on a prayer?
That's the goal anyway. That's 1982. I think that was 86. We were dialing zero for, was it 86? We were dialing, in 1986, we were dialing zero for the operator. And here we are today trying to figure out the quote unquote social norms of an effective virtual meeting. Brandt, in that time frame, technology has far surpassed our capabilities to keep up with it. Is the virtual meeting already outdated? Is this already cryptic? Are we talking about things that are already cryptic because people are already moving on from the virtual meeting? Or at least the virtual meeting in the sense of how we're describing it?
Yeah, we'll be merging in like a virtual reality later in the metaverse.
1998.
Well, yeah. Okay, yeah, very good. Jamiroquai.
Treadmills.
Will we be meeting in a virtual 3D setting? Will I have my VR headset on and be meeting with people that way? I have no idea. Here's what I do know is that every example that we've given so far is looking at how we can be more effective in communicating with people, be it the telegraph, the telephone, FaceTime, video meetings. We are trying to figure out ways and how to make meaningful connections with people. And those technologies are going to continue to change. Being human and trying to make connections and work with people, that's not going to change.
I was just looking up Jamiroquai. It was in the song was called Virtual Insanity.
Insanity. That's what it is.
Virtual, not virtual reality. It was virtual insanity. It was 1996. We were both wrong.
96.
Sorry, that was
it's really a great video
for me to clarify.
Great video.
It was. Speaking of advancing technology, everybody was like, "What?"
Yeah, the whole thing's rotating.
That was 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Okay, fuck. This is a time machine. I didn't listen to the thing you just said. I was not listening in this podcast because I was Googling Jamiroquai. I teed that up as even if we're sitting around a virtual conference room with all of our avatars, and it seems like we're still doing that because we have this pair of goggles or glasses on our head and we're able to do that, and it replicates it's still not the close human interaction. It's not fully connecting the social component of it all that as human beings we still require. I think in 5 years we look back on this episode and I believe the things that we are talking about right now still hold true, regardless of the technology, regardless if we're virtual and we have these things on our head and the quote unquote 2D component of a virtual meeting on a computer screen is long gone. You still will need to lead with empathy. You will still need to lead your virtual meetings with understanding, with a sense of belonging. Those things will not change. The way that you run a poll or split out into breakout rooms or do all these other things virtually may evolve. But I think the things that we're talking about to get people to listen to you through your virtual meeting, I believe those will still remain the same. Just
like when you type messages to me on AOL Instant Messenger in all caps for emphasis.
Yes, to get my point across. Why are you doing that? Because I am yelling. These are a couple of the questions that we led this entire episode with was, how do you conduct an effective virtual meeting? How do you get people to listen to you through your virtual meeting? The other question that Brandt, that you thought up was, has our ability to listen changed with this latest version of electronic communication? Let's go into our takeaways. I want to ask that question of you. Has our ability to listen changed with this latest version of electronic communication?
I don't think our ability has changed. I think our ability has not changed, but our capacity for what we're taking in we're definitely more selective with that. And I know for myself, I've been conditioned on virtual meetings to tune out because there is so much going on where it is a one-way conversation. It is someone reading through a list. It is stuff that could have been sent out in email it's just wasting my time, it feels like. So I feel like I have been conditioned to not listen because of how the format is being used. We can do better. I think we can be better in how we are effectively communicating using the different mediums that we have presented to us today. Not everything has to be a Zoom meeting, but when we are using Zoom meetings, that we are being intentional about why we are doing it and utilizing the technology to make the best of what we're doing.
Well said.
That's my takeaway. How about you?
Well said. My next question to you then is, are you going into virtual meetings pessimistic with the outcome, with the content, with the delivery, with all of those things? Do they already start in the negative with you, and then now you now have a challenge to them that they don't realize that they need to gain your attention, that they need to build your capacity to be effective?
There's definitely a bit of being jaded there. And I am somewhat of a critic when it comes to people presenting, because there's things I look for, there's things I prefer. I'm constantly kind of just assessing how things are set up. But regardless, how you present yourself is going to be very important for how I am going to interact and engage with you. If it looks like it's going to be another one of those brag and drags where you're going to drag me through a PowerPoint, I'm probably going to check out pretty quick. If you start asking questions and engaging people right away, I'm going to lean in more, and I'm going to definitely pay attention.
I dig. All right. My takeaway is, I feel like I say this same fucking thing every single time we wrap up these episodes. My takeaway is be better, give a shit. You might have 6 virtual meetings a day. If those meetings needed to happen in person, would you do them the exact same way? Or is it just, hey, here's another virtual meeting, here's another thing, hop on, we're going to talk about these things because we have to, because we're supposed to, have a nice day, nobody cares, nobody's listening to you, but you just check a box and you move on. If you gave it just a little bit more and you really thought through your desired outcome, you really thought through, is this the method in which we need to do this? Or am I just giving them a list of things to do that could be done in a simple email? I understand the desired outcomes. I'm going to lead with a little bit of empathy. I'm going to make sure that everybody that is a part of this is going to have a sense of belonging through this. It doesn't have to be a massive production, but if you check some of those initial boxes and it makes sense, you're going to do better than most. But what does that require from you? It requires preparedness. It requires openness and understanding. It requires you to step back a little bit and get some perspective on what's going on in the situation, and then proceed. And I bet you do better than most. And people will appreciate that on the back end, and they will listen to you. At least the likelihood increases tremendously. Now, if it's a FaceTime call with grandma, fire away. Do it. Just don't do it in public. Or at least not on speakerphone. That's a whole nother at the airport. That's a whole nother podcast, is the speakerphone conversation in public. But I can tie it pretty quickly back to the telegram, right? I could dial 0 pretty quickly with that and go, oh, that's maybe why. Maybe that's why they're having this conversation in public with, on FaceTime in the store. Social norms, understanding, rapid pace of technology. It's all in there. So the next time you have a Zoom call and you're staring up somebody's nose at their ceiling fan, how can you meet them there and get them a little bit better? That's my takeaway.
I have a new takeaway.
Ooh. This is the first ever double takeaway.
I've got a takeaway from the takeaway.
A takeaway? This is exciting. I'm listening.
My double takeaway is that, one, what do you want to get from that experience, from that time when you're on the meeting? What is it specifically that you need from that? And how are you going to go about getting that information? 2, what value can you add to that meeting? And how are you going to go about doing that? And it could be as simple as making someone feel recognized, making someone feel heard, asking a good question. But what can you add to that experience?
That's brilliant.
That's my double takeaway. Always better than the first.
So no, it just builds off of itself. That's great. I love the value add. What are you contributing to this?
Yeah.
I love that. Well, we did it. We created the best top 10 list of ways to create the most effective virtual meetings. We did it. Ours is number 1. We did it.
I like that you joke that we have a linear process, that there are 10 things and we could go down the list. We just go all over the place. So I would just say thank you to everyone for actually for sticking with us this whole time.
Brandt, great job. Another fantastic episode. A great thought-provoking discussion. I appreciate it. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm going to get off this call and go jump on another Zoom meeting. So we'll see you next time.
Oh, that's exciting. All right. Enjoy. I hope they do well.
I'll let them know if they don't.
Bingo. Bye.
Bye.
In the description of this podcast, you will find more information and a list of any of the sources that we used.
This podcast is created and produced by Drew Richmond and Brandt Christofferson. Editing by me, and the I'm Listening theme music by Drew.
That's me.
That's you.
Brandt, I will talk to you later, my friend.
We'll see you next time.
Yeehaw.
Have a good one, Drew.
Bye, Brandt.